Another day in the NBA here, and this one looks like a doozy. We've got 11 games on the DraftKings slate. 12 if you want to count the last one that's on FanDuel. But the work begins as it always does here, no matter how many Q tags, no matter how many questionable situations we have here. We got to compare my data to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see the top plays are, who the top values are. We'll go game by game as well. And yes, that means all the games. We'll check out the ownership, see where the leverage spots are. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim without my interference. I'll do a single lineup sim too, do a hand build. We'll see what it looks like. And by the end of this video, guys, you will know all the industry's must plays along with my splash plays for today's December 18th NBA slate. Let's get into it. And I don't mean to always make the intro like, hey, look how great the channel's doing, whatever. But, you know, I know you guys support me on this front. I do appreciate it a bunch. But shout out to you guys, 2 days in a row with over 2K videos, which is pretty crazy given that these videos have like 5 hours of lifespan. So shout out to all you guys watching. Again, help me out. Keep fighting that battle against the YouTube algorithm. Hit that like button and subscribe. Again, I'm just one dude showing you my gambling Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. for the NBA every day. But I really do appreciate some of the kind comments. Had some guys talking about how they've been using the stuff I talk about for betting information, having success with that. A lot of you guys really been kind lately, so I appreciate it. Obviously, we're, I think, going through, you know, for me personally, just candidly going through some growing pains where the channel's getting, you know, decently sized. We're a few away from 2K subs, but a lot of people watching every day. And I do want to make sure the chat's on point, want to make sure I'm talking about stuff at a pace that's good for you guys watching after the fact as well. So it's a learning process for me as we are building this NBA channel up. But no matter what, I'm here for you guys Monday to Friday, whether I am mercurial, whether I am gregarious, all the good vocabulary words here. I'm here for you guys doing the best we can. And shout out to chats as well. We got Isaac here. Think you're going to need some help making sense of this crazy slate. I get it. And shout out to all you guys, the members only chat on once again. Appreciate all you guys being here. But let's get into it. We got Luka Doncic, top protected guy for me today. And worth pointing out, there's a lot of Q tags to talk about right before the show. Lowry Markkanen was downgraded to out, so that's something should open up more minutes for Kyle Filipowski in particular, but it's going to make everybody for Utah look a little bit different than is currently reflected in Stokastic data. But basically, Anthony Davis not at shoot around. That might open up another Cooper Flag day. Trae Young, questionable to make his big return today, which would upset things for the Hawks. There's a lot of stuff we don't know right now that we're going to need to know. So just keep that in mind that I'm recording this video at 2:05 on the East Coast, and things are going to move around a lot. Luka Doncic, though, 12K salary. We have no Austin Reeves, no DeAndre Ayton. And this is one actually worth pulling up the NBA Wowie for because Luka Doncic's numbers without those guys are pretty insane. It is not the 1,000 possession sample size we want to have, where that's where rates in basketball stabilize. You feel confident about the amount of work that you have and that it's projectable moving forward. For the Lakers here, let's take off Reeves. Take off Ayton. So Luka Doncic averages 2. You can't see it because it's behind the Stokastic ad. 2 fantasy points per minute with Reeves and Ayton off the court this year. Now, a lot of that court time probably includes no LeBron James. Obviously, LeBron was out, you know, the first month of the season, so that's part of this. But a 47% usage rate, 15 assists per 100 possessions, 13% rebound rate, overall 2 DK points per minute. And he is facing Utah today. So there's really nothing blocking Luka Doncic from having the game of games here. You do have Nikola Jokic on the slate. We'll go back. You can see the top protected players around him. But basically, Luka's your big winner here. He goes absolutely nuts when you take Reeves, a high usage guy, off. Ayton, the big man, not taking a ton of usage, but he's a guy that'll get shots up. Jackson Hayes is not going to do that even a little bit. You know, LeBron, a 32% usage rate, only about 100 possessions played this year, so 1/10 of what we want in terms of a sample size. For Luka, 310 possessions, that's, you know, it's a third of the amount we're looking for sample size wise. I think it's fairly predictable here. I think Luka's a really good play. You know, that said, for Luka, 50% ownership for the field. I'm getting him at 83. We're talking about a 12K salary player coming up for half the lineups. At that point, the game theory would say just roll the dice, play some other guys who are pay-up options, see if you can hit the ceiling elsewhere. Luka projects incredibly well. There are not a lot of times this year I've had a guy projected over 70 fantasy points. Today for Luka, I have him at 71.4. Stokastic at a more reasonable 66.7. That would have him, you know, coming in a little bit less. I would imagine you're getting Jokic a little bit more. Though Stokastic does have Jokic slightly behind Luka. I've got both guys higher. But Luka, I think a strong play today. I see him having half my exposure right away. And certainly if I got 80%, I'd say it's a little bit much, but I think you want to be with the field if the field does hold at 50% expected ownership. This could be like really could be a spot where he puts up like 50 real life points. Like Utah is going to offer no resistance, and not that Markkanen being out is going to make them any worse defensively or anything. But just a bad team on the other side. And for the Lakers as well, it's a total at 125.5 implied points. It's a massive total. It's not even like a blowout total either. It's only a 7.5 point favorite on the road are the Lakers. So like you expect Luka to get 4 quarters a run, have a ton of shots put up. He's a really good play. And certainly if he were to fail, I think the odds of LeBron having a better day is probably much higher. Nikola Jokic, still a good projection on him. I have him at 68.8 fantasy points. Let's say 69, so we could say nice. 10% ownership for the field. I'm getting 19. For Jokic, with what we know of that ceiling, a couple slates ago, him putting up 85 fantasy points, help push my line at the top 50. That's the kind of thing he can do for you on a nightly basis, especially where so much of the field is going to be on Luka Doncic. Let's say the Lakers somehow blow that game out, or Luka just underperforms, LeBron plays better, whatever. Jokic at that point would have a ton of value. At a spot for Denver today where they also have a decent total, a 121.5 implied points game against Orlando, where we saw Jokic go nuts against a tough Houston defense. Orlando, kind of the same thing. It's a low-pace spot, so Jokic can get in a position and do whatever he needs to do. It doesn't matter if the defense is good. Like, just the fact that the pace is a little bit slower is going to help him out. I think Jokic is a very live pivot to Luka based on the ownership, but certainly the field's at 10% and 50% Luka for a reason. Luka does straight up project better according to my data and Stokastics. Jalen Johnson. So I did not boost or, knock down Jalen Johnson's rates with Trae Young. Q-tag, I would expect that he'll play today. Certainly they could hold him out one more game if they want. But Jalen Johnson, certainly having Trae Young back in, taking usage, taking assists, it does hurt the upside for Jalen Johnson, a guy whose rates this year reflect a lot of time, without Trae Young. But Jalen Johnson, 16% for the field. I'm getting him at 23. I think if you get Trae Young out, Jalen Johnson will look like a lot better play. I think he'll matter more going against a Charlotte team that we know is not very good and is, a little bit of a pace down, but still a matchup that should be good overall for him. But I think right now with Trae Young in, getting Jalen Johnson 15 to 20% feels about right. If Trae Young is out, I think he becomes maybe a third of your lineups, possibly more than that. Denny Avdia, late game here. I would have him at 49.4 fantasy points. I believe this is on the FanDuel slate. So if you're playing on FanDuel, Denny Avdia in play. DK late slate, he looks pretty good to me as well. And really here out of the top projected guys, it is Luka, Jokic, Jalen Johnson, Avdia, and Alperen Şengün. I have above a 5x value. So these guys would be certainly priority plays amongst the pay-up options for me. Cade Cunningham, 7.6% ownership today for the field. I'm at 1.3. Cade, as you guys know, if you watch a lot of these videos, just a guy that usually doesn't pop up too much on my data. Going against Dallas here, not a great total with 227.5 combined for that game. Detroit at 117 implied points. It's middle tier for this slate. But Cade, his price tag is high. Really not an option for me above 10K super often. And I also think Jalen Duren, really shitty game for him last time out. Probably due to get a little more work back for himself. Cade, to me, look, if Dallas can hang in this game, he could certainly go off. And Cade, for if you believe in narrative stuff, Cade, a Texan, he is going to be in Dallas today for this game. I think he's from Houston. Where's Cade Cunningham hometown? Might be Dallas though. Jimmy Butler's from Dallas, right? No, Cade's hometown is Arlington, so that's pretty close. Yeah, look, if you believe in narratives, Cade coming back home, Dallas certainly a competent defense, but not one, it's going to be a shutdown or anything. That, I guess, would be the reason to play Cade, because data-wise, it doesn't really seem there for me. Alperen Şengün, 15% for the field. I am at 9. For Şengün, power forward center helps him out a little bit, 9,600 as well. Not being quite 10K, facing the Pelicans, all good stuff for Şengün here. But for Şengün, you have so much ownership going to Luka Doncic. I have a good amount as well going to Jokic, going to Jalen Johnson. There's only so much to go around in terms of pay-up options. We need a lot more value on the slate if we're going to get more of these guys together in lineups. So Şengün, think an okay play, but not coming up a ton for me, and that's probably not going to change. SGA, going against the Clippers team without James Harden. Certainly a spot where you do expect the blowout a little bit more. SGA, 31.4 minute projection. Might be a little bit aggressive. If he doesn't play the fourth quarter, he's probably going to top out around 28. Clippers defense is pretty bad, but they do play at a low pace. So I don't think it's a spot where you want to try to go to SGA and hope that he hits his upside in 3 quarters. But certainly, revenge-y spot for him. Go against a team that gave up for him while he is now at the peak of his powers. Steph Curry, 2% ownership for the field. I'm at 1. It's not really a play to me at this point. Kuminga's out of the rotation, basically, so that helps out Curry a little bit usage-wise. And they're playing Phoenix, who is not a terribly good team overall. About a league average defense. About the same pace as the Warriors play at. I think it's one of those games where Steph's not owned and Steph unowned. If he does hit, a million points, million threes in this game, then Maybe he'll pay off, but 9,400 for Steph on this slate. I can't recall the last time I've played Steph personally, so I don't think it would be the case for me here. If you get him in a few lineups, though, he's barely being played. Got a lot of Q tags for the Knicks. Real fast, we'll just list them off because there are many. I think it's a little bit, to me, seeing all the guys have Q tags today, kind of felt like you guys won the NBA Cup. Maybe you went out a little bit hard in Vegas. We'll give you guys an out if you don't want to play today. But Anunoby, Josh Hart, Q tag, Mitchell Robinson, Q tag, Karl-Anthony Towns, Q tag. You have McBride and Landry Shamet out for the game still. So really your only non-Q tags are Mikal Bridges, who has his consecutive game streak, and he probably doesn't want to miss that. And Jalen Brunson, who plays through almost everything anyway. But if you got a bunch of Knicks ruled out, maybe then Brunson late scratch kind of situation too is possible. Bridges will play, I think, no matter what, but he might not actually play if the Knicks decide to call off the Dogs for some reason, because they're just, they won the NBA Cup, even though they're not hanging a banner for it. 4.5 point favorites on the road are the Knicks against Indiana. Total feels kind of low. I think you're going to get somebody sitting out here. So if you get all these guys sitting out, you're going to play whatever Knicks are left. And that could be it could be a short rotation. If you get Anunoby out, you get Hart out, I would think a lot more about Tyler Kolek at 3,500. Talked about him before that NBA Cup game. Didn't think he would have the ceiling he had where he put up like 31 fantasy points. But I think he is definitely going to be in play more. But the Knicks right now get a ton of Q tags. Cat, if he does play, he's not going to be owned at all. I think it's a good spot going against Indiana. If the Knicks are out, then whoever's left is going to look like a really good play going against a dog shit Indiana team. Scotty Barnes, 0% for the field. I am at 2. Toronto today, 113 implied points against Milwaukee. Not a great game total at 220.5 points overall. It's a soft matchup against Milwaukee at this point without Giannis, but Barnes at 9K. 44 fantasy point projection. If you're just going to fade Luka, you play guys like Barnes more, but if you're going to play Luka straight with the field, I just don't see a reason why you're going to get a ton of Barnes. And Jamal Murray, last but not least, guys played incredibly well this year at 8,500. Price tag has finally come down, something a little bit more reasonable. Basically in games, if Jokic fails miserably, puts up 50, 55 fantasy points, your likelihood of Jamal Murray having a better game is much higher because at this point, no Aaron Gordon still, no Christian Brown, Peyton Watson also a Q tag today. There's just like so much usage to go around. So almost every game, one of Jokic or Murray will pay off their price tag. Murray at 8,500, a lot easier to do that. But still only 9% owned. I only got 8. Not a priority play, but if he makes a lineup, he's kind of low owned play that could hit big. And also, you theoretically pull from Jokic ownership, whatever's there. We're to sort by value here, guys. Again, trying to make decent time today because we do have 11 games to go game by game on and a lot of players to talk about. But please do show some love. Hit that like button and subscribe. As you guys know, it goes a long way for me here. Just one guy showing you my gambling. And I say it like it might seem like there's a team of people behind this because there's a lot of stuff I prep. But it's just me going from NBA to NFL. You know, some days like today where I'm doing both sports, it's a little bit of a bear, but I still show up and do the work as best I can for you guys. I do appreciate you guys show that love back. Hit that like button and subscribe. Join along here and should be hitting 2K subs if I had to guess today or tomorrow. So be the 2K sub, the 2,000 sub here, and I don't know, print a t-shirt. I don't know. Join Stokastic, see 15% off promo code SPLASH. Link down below if you want to see all their options. But all the cheap packages, all the expensive packages, weekly, monthly, it is all 15% off for you with that promo code SPLASH. So check it out. Great way to get good data in your life. And if you want to use professional caliber tools, not make your own data, Stokastic's going to be a great way to do that and still make sure you have the tournament winning upside that they show so often from their users. And last but not least, join the channel here. $5 to join as a supporter. You get access to the Discord. You also get the members only chat here live. But also, if you want to get my projections, my matchup screens here that I show you here on stream, you get that updated for yourself throughout the night by joining one of the Squirt Squad tiers down below. Are your top values? We got Jackson Hayes, 51% expected ownership. I'm getting 68. He's another guy with no Ayton, should be getting a minutes uptick, has produced about 0.98 fantasy points a minute without Ayton and without Austin Reeves on the court. So for Jackson Hayes, not the most fun play, but at 3,500 on a slate that right now does not have any real value coming up. Jackson Hayes, a very strong value option here. Though certainly the minutes can flow away from him. Lakers could go small against Utah. I mean, you're worried about Nurkic vaguely. But, Utah could also be enticed into going small with Filipowski at the 5, with no Lowry Markkanen today. And, Still no Walker Kessler, obviously, all year. So for Jackson Hayes, that's really your big risk that Utah just goes small and he gets played off the court. But, a very active Jackson Hayes versus totally statuesque Yusuf Nurkic, I think not a bad thing. And Nurkic will keep him close enough to the rim, too. Luka Doncic, despite being so expensive at 12K, he is your number 2 value based on my data. Again, my projection's about 5 fantasy points higher than Stokastic, so certainly feel free to default to a 67 fantasy point projection instead of 71. But as we talked about, Luka's averaging over 2 fantasy points a minute this year without Austin Reeves and without DeAndre Ayton. And certainly LeBron coming back in, he can take some of that usage away. But I think there's more than enough to go around for Luka and LeBron today with no Reeves and no Ayton on top of that. Kyle Filipowski. So Stokastic was not yet updated for Lowry Markkanen being out. But my guess, based upon the last times that we've seen Markkanen not playing, is that Filipowski should be like about 30 to 35 minutes. I gave him 31 here, so he wouldn't come into like every single lineup. But the result is I have him at a 33 fantasy point projection. About 34% of my lineups have him. I think he's going to be one of your chalk value plays on the day, or quote unquote value, because he's not super cheap. But if I had to guess, a lot of lineups today include Filipowski and Jackson Hayes, and they both do grade out really well projection-wise. But Filipowski, you have Nurkic in. He's not, seemingly going to play today. You'll have more upside for Filipowski if you had Nurkic out. But I think for Filipowski, because of not having Markkanen in, I would assume that he starts. They could also go like Svi Mikhailiuk, I guess. Last time that we had Markkanen out, actually I can just pull it up real fast. Why not? Even though we got to go through so many games, but just want to make sure I'm giving you guys this correctly because I looked before the show. DNP for Markkanen. Yeah, so on December 7th was the last time we had Markkanen out. He's not missed a lot of games. It was a game versus the Thunder, so maybe a little bit weird. But Filipowski, you could see, played 36 minutes here, put up 44 DK points against OKC. That's definitely crazy to note that he played that well. Keontae George didn't play through the blowout, but still, he was starting. Svi Mikhailiuk picked up the start here. Ace Bailey also starting. Yusuf Nurkic starting. So you're getting most of the same guys theoretically. Not sure that Svi is a guaranteed starter here. But that's what it looked like last time, about 11 days ago with no Markkanen. So my assumption here is that Filipowski going to gain a good amount of minutes. And frankly, 31 minutes might be a conservative estimate given that against that Thunder, in that Thunder matchup, rather, he played a lot of minutes, played through the blowout. So, even if the Lakers kick their ass today, you might still get Filipowski out there. Dylan Harper, $4,700 salary, coming up in 50% of my lineups. Harper has been a player I get a lot in these situations. I talked about as well in the NBA Cup game earlier in the week. He projected well for me. Thought he was a very easy click to make. Maybe too easy of a click, but he ended up still paying off, made a winning lineup. For Harper, though, really the big thing is what you saw in that one. And he closed most of that game, too, which I didn't think was possible. He plays really well off the bench. It's hard for him to have Castle and Fox in because those guys are good, high usage guards. Wemby back into that doesn't help out. But I think for Harper, he's mostly segmented from at least one of those guys, if not two, that helps him out off the bench. And the fact that he's able to close like a theoretical, high leverage spot in the NBA Cup, maybe there's more up ceiling for Dylan Harper in certain spots. But again, $4,700 salary. There's, I think, better value options, but he's in half my lineups right now. I don't think that's necessarily going to hold. Also worth noting, too, some of the ownership is fucked up, I think, because I had to do some workaround to get the minutes right with Stokastic and also pull in the late slate. So that might be why Harper's ownership is not properly reflected here. He might be more owned. I mean, he's definitely going to be more owned than zero, but not sure he'll be the 50% that I have right now. Jeremy Grant, late slate only / FanDuel only. Looks good to me. Always has, basically, when we've had Drew Holiday out. Bryce Sensabaugh will look a little bit more owned because of not having Lowry Markkanen. And basically, again, Stokastic data has Markkanen still in the data set. So Sensabaugh not projected at all for ownership. I had in about 25. My guess is he'll be a pretty popular value at this point. I'm assuming that he starts for Svi like he has lately. Simone Fontecchio gaining a few minutes here. We have no Tyler Hero today. $4,200 salary and small forward, power forwards making him come up. My projection is also a fantasy point and change higher than Stokastic at 23.2 compared to 21.9. Fontecchio, to me, I'm cool being at 30%. Fields at 22, but I think there's going to be better value that opens up. So Fontecchio, I think, kind of a placeholder that represents like you need to get some value to pay for the guys you want. He's definitely a better play because of not having Hero, though. But how good of a play with Norman Powell in, I'm not really sure. Jordan Miller in that Clippers game should gain some minutes here at shooting guard, small forward, 3,400. game's probably gonna be a blowout. Jordan Miller's a decent producer per minute. And there's gonna be a ton of shots to go around with no Harden. So Miller, I don't think a very fun play, but I do have him at 18.8 fantasy points, and he has 3,400. So I'm getting him in 7% of my top 150 lineups. Nikola Jokic, 19% sim ownership. Yeah, I'm at 10. We've talked about him already. He is technically a top value, despite being one of our most expensive, or our most expensive guy, and one of our top projected guys on the slate. Anthony Black, we have no Jalen Suggs, still no Franz Wagner. So Black looks pretty good as a semi-value, 5,900. I'm getting him at 31% ownership, and these Stokastic numbers are driving me nuts here. I'm going to have to just update real fast. So I think we're going to go game by game. It's not going to be useful, but I'm going to lose the marketing stuff. What's more important, guys? Having the ownership not be a dumpster fire, or keeping Markkanen's minutes for him being out correct? It's a tough call. I'm going to keep it as it is, but I think assume that my sim ownership is closer to what the field's going to get for some of these guys. Like Anthony Black's definitely not a 0. I think there's just something broken with the way I imported stuff, because Stokastic has like changed a lot of stuff in the back end that's fucking me up right now. And Wendell Carter, 19% ownership in my top 150. Projection at 28.8. Stokastic's at 27.2. He looks a little bit better because of not having Suggs and Franz Wagner in. Wendell Carter has had that upside lately, and at 5,300, kind of a mid-price center that has decent upside that you can get if you're trying to afford the more expensive guys. We're going to go game by game here. You know what I'm going to do is real fast. I'm going to show you guys Utah and how I think things look. It is one of the last games on the slate. Oh my God, there's so many games to scroll through. I'm going to show you what I have for Utah here. Then I'm going to pull in Stokastic data, so that way I can get this. So like the ownership will be mostly correct here. But you can see here for the Lakers and Utah, 125.5 implied points for the Lakers, 118 for Utah. We talked, the Lakers side's not going to change here, but Luka Doncic, Mega Chalk looks good. LeBron doesn't project as well, though certainly he should look like, if he can, look the most like old LeBron with having no Austin Reeves in, ton of usage, ton of assists, now vacated because of not having Austin Reeves. But LeBron has been terrible this year, so just keep that in mind. Jackson Hayes, great value. Nothing else in the Lakers looks super playable to me. I think you're going to play Luka. I wouldn't mind taking the shot on LeBron and just hoping that he plays like old LeBron. 9K though, you are paying full vig for that. Hope that he can be the old version. Jackson Hayes, a great value, assuming that he does start. That's that. And then Utah's side, Keontae George looks better because of having no Markkanen. His rates take an increase. Not a surprise. Obviously, it's Markkanen giving up usage and all that. Nurkic, to me, I thought would project a little bit better, but he doesn't really seem to gain minutes from having Markkanen off the court. Filipowski, the big winner. Ace Bailey looks better. Sensabaugh playable. Collier playable. Utah overall, you take Markkanen out, they're all just going to look a little bit better. I think Filipowski is a core play. I think Bailey and Sensabaugh close to that. And Keontae George will have absolute slate-breaking ceiling. Assuming the Lakers don't just destroy him. But, you know, just taking Markkanen off the court, Keontae George, like, should really get up a lot more usage and be a lot more productive. And I think there's a lot of case to play a good amount of Utah today because you're going to get Luka naturally anyway. So play some Jazz with it. Hope they stay competitive. All right, let me pull in the ownership and then re-upload this real fast. And hopefully this will make everything unbroken. Sorry about that, guys. Unfortunately, just had to try to quickly get the market and stuff in, and that required sorting by teams, and I think that fucked up the ownership. So let me pull this in. That should be good. And then let's also pull in the late slate so we can show that game quickly when we get there. Sorry, bear with me, guys. Okay. All right, that should be everything in. Let me just upload it to Google Sheets. The same process I do, guys, at night when you guys get updates if you are a paying member of the channel. And you can see my stuff here. You can see, there you go. Syncs right in front of your eyes. And honestly, the Utah still looks close because having Markkanen out, but don't look at that. That data is not fully fleshed out. We're gonna go game by game here, guys. We talked about Utah. Again, that's gonna look different because of Markkanen in this data set now. But hit that like button, subscribe here. Again, you'll find, I think, nobody in the industry more committed to giving you the most accurate data, not, trying to cover every contingency we possibly can at 2 p.m. here every day. The NBA is a minefield always of injuries, guys getting ruled in, guys getting ruled out. But hopefully the process that I show you guys here every day at 2 p.m. Monday to Friday adds some value to what you're doing. And you don't have to follow every take I give you. Just hear what I'm saying. Do what you need to do with your gambling. It's your money. You spend it how you want. But ultimately, having a process like I do here every day, hopefully, is something that you guys can get some value out of. And check out Stokastic too, 15% off, link down below. Join the channel for $5. And if you want to get all my data here updated on the screen, you can also get that for yourself on one of the Squirt Squad tiers. But make sure you know how to use the CSV and all that, because I'm not going to be able to handhold you on how to get that right. You just take my projections like you would Stochastics, like you would ETR. But you just got to know how to do that stuff. All right, Atlanta, 122 implied points. Charlotte, 116.5. Trae Young Q tag looks unplayable to me. $9,500. Why? Why is he not a little bit cheaper here? Probably not going to play his full allotment of minutes to start. Stokastic has him for 28 minutes. If he's out, Jalen Johnson firmly in play. He looks okay with Trae Young in. He will take a rate hit for sure. But Trae at this point, if I had to guess, is going to be deferring to Jalen Johnson more than he ever has in his career, because this is much more Jalen Johnson's team at this point than it is Trae Young's. Trae might get traded within the next 6 weeks. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. If not, in the offseason, I think it's pretty likely. Jalen Johnson is like the team, and we saw that happen with the last few weeks with Trae Young out. But Jalen Johnson, I think, still playable. You would lose flexibility, though, if you play him on this slate, because he is your first game on the slate. But nothing else in Atlanta looks that good. If Trae Young is out, we'll be more open to everything. And worth noting, too, Atlanta, Charlotte, New York, Indiana are only 2 7 o'clock games. So everything else will have to wait for news, depending on who's available. Charlotte, 116.5 implied points. No Sexton here, no Trey Mann. But still nobody looking that good. LaMelo, minutes limited here in the projections, and most likely minutes limited in real life as well. Hard to get there as a result, even though there are theoretically a ton of point guard opportunities to go around when you are missing, 2 of your guys that do some of that work with Sexton and Mann. Brandon Miller, I have a decent projection on, 36.3. Stokastic at 36.6. At a $7,400 salary, he looks decent. John Salon coming up as a value a little bit at 3,100. Really not much in the way of must-haves here, but it is a pace-up spot. Hawks defense is league average, so you can play stuff here. But for the sake of making time on this video, not a lot to love. New York, we talked about all the Q tags already. Towns, Hart, Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, if I'm remembering correctly. If all those guys are out, you're going to play every Nick available. They're all way too cheap for that situation. Brunson at 8,600, especially too cheap. Brunson's not on the injury report, so I think that he'll still play no matter what. But it is kind of odd to have 4 Knicks questionable. Kind of feels like one of those games where you rule everybody out and you just take what you get versus Indiana. But again, this is the first game on the slate. We'll note advance, so just keep that in mind. But Cat playable to me if he plays. Brunson playable if he plays. Going to look a lot better, though, if you get Cat out, let alone Cat plus Hart plus Anunoby. We just don't know enough right now. Not really an OG Anunoby slate, though, too much. Getting him at 8%. He projects well. But if you got Hart and Towns out and OG in at 6,200, he'd be a guy that would pop up a lot for me again, as he has many of the slates lately. It does feel like a cup championship hangover. I mean, that's really my guess, is that I think it's they put the guys in the injury report because they knew they were a little bit fatigued. These 4 were particularly a little bit gassed from the Vegas trip, and maybe it could be just the basketball play, or they went out a little bit more and but it seemed odd to me to have all those guys be Q tags. And they were all playing through injuries as well. Cat, I didn't think was going to get back in that game. The announcers were even saying it, and he ended up coming in for the last 4 minutes or so. So, they do have probably some lingering injuries too. They might have played through for the NBA Cup. And yeah, you just said it. Cat was already banged up too. Indiana, nothing looks that good here. Isaiah Jackson at 3,600 playing backup center minutes. There's going to be better value that opens up if I had to guess. Another hardship exemption guy being added, Gabe McLaughlin. I don't think he's going to play, but they added him to the roster as part of their ongoing, we don't have enough guys situation in Indiana. But nothing here looks good, so let's not talk too much about it. Miami, 117 implied points. Brooklyn, 110.5. No Tyler Hero. Makes these guys look a little bit better than they would have if Hero were in. Powell, 18% ownership for the field. I'm getting 13. That's fine. Really not a bad play, not a great play, but it's 7K in shooting guard, small forward. Think he'll make some lineups no matter what. Bam Adebayo, 4% ownership. I haven't really been there this year. I just feel like he's given up a little too much in terms of his usage and opportunity to the new guys, Norman Powell in particular, and Hawkins being better this year as well. Where to? But Adebayo, not an option for me. Against Brooklyn, though, does feel like the kind of spot where he could hit a ceiling. Fontecchio is a value. Jaquez, Mitchell coming up a little bit, but Fontecchio getting 30% of, Fields at 22. It really seems like the only play to note on Miami's side besides Powell. But, it's a good spot versus Brooklyn. Bad defense. Big pace down, though, on paper. Brooklyn getting the pace up on their side, but the Heat defense is pretty good, giving up only 112 points per 100 possessions. For Michael Porter Jr., I've been above the field on him a lot, and it's paid off a lot lately. Still no Cam Thomas, so I think MPJ at 8,600. Nice tournament option to go to, assuming they don't get their ass kicked by Miami. Danny Wolf coming up a little bit here. 23 minutes projection is not great, but at 4,400, it's playable. Daron Sharp, 3,800. Again, I think we'll have better value opening up. Don't think this will be a play that holds as the day goes on. But the Nets, you have some options here, in particular guys that pick up a little bit extra peripherally. I think in a pace-up spot, going to come up a little bit more. Porter Jr., I'm just willing to play in every matchup. He's been a demon, and he really hasn't fucked me too much, like when I get him a lot on slates where the field's not there. So MPJ, good as gold for me, though. There are some trade rumors starting to kick up around him, too, because he's been playing so well that a real contender might want him. So maybe that keeps his minutes in check more. I don't know. I wouldn't really worry about stuff like that too much, but just saying it aloud because it did come out today. Washington, 113.5 implied points here going against San Antonio. A massive dog on the road. Sarr back in. These guys are kind of priced for life without Sarr. And then Sarr also got priced up to 8,100. He missed games, and now he's more expensive. Not usually the way that works. Sarr's been good on the year. You have no Middleton, no Kispert. But getting Sarr in, I think, just throws us off where nobody looks that good. Keyshawn George getting 3% of, so's the field. McCollum not really projecting too well for me. I don't see it. San Antonio, Dylan Harper, we talked about. Fields at 35%. I'm getting 52. He looks pretty good here playing off the bench. Going against Washington certainly won't hurt. And if they do blow him out, Harper probably gets a little more shot at upside of the starters playing a few less minutes. San Antonio, much like the Knicks, coming off a grueling NBA Cup. So maybe these guys don't play a ton of minutes here for the same reasons the Knicks might sit guys. But, big total for San Antonio. Nobody projects that well. Dylan Harper off the bench. I think this seems like a good spot for him, but the field's more than enough there. Toronto, 113 implied points. Milwaukee, 107.5. We got no RJ Barrett. For Toronto, also a downgrade for Pirtle, which would open up Mamu theoretically as a value option at 4,300. But Scotty Barnes, not really there. Ingram, quickly, they're all more than appropriately priced for this spot. If you get Pirtle out, though, they'll look a little bit better. Solo Mamukulashvili as a value, but we don't know right now. So nothing looks great on Toronto, assuming that Pirtle is in. In Milwaukee on their side, Ryan Rollins looks okay to me. I do have him better projected than Porter Jr. at this point, which I'm surprised by. But Rollins does gain more rate-wise than Porter Jr. does without Giannis. That's probably a big part of the equation. And Rollins, for what it's worth, even though the floor has been there a lot more lately, still averaging 1.15 fantasy points per minute with Giannis off. But I think I'm giving him a little bit too much respect in my projection. Doesn't really matter, though, because he's not coming up. Porter Jr., don't think a guy the field is chasing, nor should you at 8,200 today. In this matchup against Toronto. But, if Milwaukee hangs in the game, it's probably Porter Jr., it might be Rollins, and both guys will look more playable if Kuzma, who is a Q tag, doesn't play. But Kuzma is a Q tag right now. Houston, 122 implied points. Nollins, 112.5. Şengün, soft matchup for him. 15% ownership. I don't hate it, but I'm only at 9. Amin Thompson and my good friend Josh Engelman mentioned that he thought it was a real good Amin Thompson spot today. There's no notable rim defense for New Orleans. Amin Thompson could definitely get some shots to the rim. That said, with Durant in, the usage is not really there. I don't think it's really an option for me. Jabari Smith, I'm getting some of. Reed Shepard, I'm getting some of here. It is one of the worst defenses in basketball on New Orleans' side, but not a terribly fast team. Technically a pace up for Houston, who plays so slow. But really, Şengün hitting a ceiling, possible. Durant, I don't think you want to play it. Thompson looks okay for me. I think he'll get a few more here, peripherals, because of the fact that, New Orleans pretty turnover prone as well. New Orleans on their side really looks awful. Zion in hurts these guys who are not fully priced correctly for Zion to be in, even only playing 26 minutes. Poole back into, that doesn't help. Not a great total. Yeah, nothing for New Orleans, so let's save some time. Clippers, 102 implied points because they're facing OKC. Even though Harden is out, they just don't look that good. Brutal total for the Clippers at 102 implied points. Like one of the lowest totals you'll get for a team that people think is legit. Look, if the Clippers somehow stay competitive in this game, Kawhi probably crushed at 8,600. Maybe Zubac had an okay game. Going against the total lack of centers for OKC with no Hartenstein, no Jalen Williams. But the Clippers, I don't know why you'd expect them to hit their stride with Harden out, playing at the Thunder as a 17.5-point dog. I really think only the cheap Clippers, Kobe Brown, Jordan Miller, Bogdanovich at 4,400, vaguely playable. Really wouldn't load up on anything Clippers-wise. OKC, again, nothing coming up really here. Should look better for Holmgren because you have no Jalen Williams, the Y, no Hartenstein, but the rates don't really take a big enough leap up to matter. These guys also should not be playing like a full allotment of minutes either. So OKC, if somehow this game's competitive, there'll be a lot of things that the field's not playing, but I don't know why you would squint your eyes and try to force your way to this game. Missing no Harden does matter, but probably not for this slate. Detroit, 117 implied points. Dallas, 110.5. For Detroit side, nothing really is going to be out of the ordinary here. Jalen Duren, awful last time out. Always willing to go to him with that price tag down. But certainly does seem like he's playing to his downside a little bit more lately. Cade, I'm not on, but at 8% ownership, certainly a pivot to the chalkier spend-up guys. Tobias Harris at 5K probably makes lineups work pretty well. That's salary and power forward, but not a fun click to make here. He and Asar Thompson, last slate that they had, both guys kind of the same thing again today. Neither one exciting to get, but you get why you get them a little bit because you just got to build lineups with guys that are sometimes around that 5K price range. Isaiah Stewart can steal minutes away from Duren, as we've seen, but 4,300, don't think you're going to force your way there unless Duren were ruled out or something. LeVert, 5% ownership for the field. I'm with it. Ivy, 9% for the field. I'm with that. Nothing great here. And then Dallas, AD was not at shoot around. I assume he'll be out again. If he is out, Cooper Flagg, playable at 7,500. Not as easy as a spot as it was last time out going against Utah, where he put up the 40 real life points. But I think it's in his range of outcomes, the AD out to give you like 25-5, that kind of game. If he does go a little bit better, does push it a little bit higher. Flagg is kind of rounding into the guy that he's supposed to be. And like I've said on stream, I think enough times, you just need to get the higher usage guys out. You need AD out. If you get him and Russell out again, that's where Cooper Flagg really has a chance to break a slate at 7,500. If those guys are in, I just don't think you want to play Cooper Flagg too much. Let's see. Why do I just hate the thought of rostering any of these Detroit bums besides Ivy? I mean, look, I'm not crazy about him. Duren, though, I think at his price tag, willing to go there a little bit more. But, yeah. Could he play Luka and Joker and place top 10? I mean, you can't say they got place top 10. I don't know. You can't ever guarantee that. But you could play both. I mean, it depends on the value you're getting around it. Like right now, I would say probably not enough value to get there. But, there's enough mid-tier options like your Filipowski types that'll come up. It's plausible, but usually that doesn't work out as well as you think. Like a short slate, you could force your way to that more. An 11-game slate, there's going to be enough upside that that combo is going to be not worth what you're getting. But, it doesn't look crazily high owned on the Jokic side. But yeah, Dallas right now with AD in, nothing looks good. If AD and Russell end up out, Nembhard will look better. Flagg will look better. PJ Washington will look a ton better. He was a good play the last slate as well. Najee Marshall also got downgraded. If he's out, that would help out a bunch. We just don't know enough right now. Golden State 116, Phoenix 114.5 implied points. Nothing looks good here. Golden State has just been a team entirely off my radar in terms of like every time they're available with all the team playing for the most part. Kuminga out of the rotation. Will that last forever? I would assume not, but it's just a fucking mess with Kuminga. They should trade him. They should have traded him. But it is what it is. Will Richard, they want to get more minutes to, but Steve Kerr mentioned that he's been deferring to the vet minutes more. That's not great. Even though he thinks that Will Richard deserves to play over them, I think was what he kind of indicated. Golden State's a mess, but the total's not bad, and there's no ownership here. Phoenix side, same thing. You're getting Dylan Brooks, 4%. I got 9. Mark Williams, 8% for the field. I got 2. This game's entirely unknown, so if it goes nuts here, if you somehow got Steph Curry and Devin Booker putting up massive games at reasonable price tags for what their ceilings are, nobody's here, but nobody's here because they just don't project that well. So that's always the push-pull of these things in DFS. Lakers and Utah we talked about before, but Luka looks great. If Luka fails, LeBron probably was better than the projection that he's getting. Jackson Hayes, the value looks pretty good no matter what. And Utah, we're going to skip through here because that now is marketed back in the data and doesn't look correct. Orlando here, 115 implied points. Denver, 121.5. No Suggs helps out a lot for Anthony Black getting more minutes. I think that Black, if we're talking about like our quote-unquote value on the slate, guys that are just a little bit underpriced for what the situation is, Black and Kyle Filipowski are like the first two. Black is 5,900 though. Point guard, shooting guard, but he'll play a good amount more for not having Jalen Suggs out there. I have him at 31%, Fields at 26. Banchero I'm not getting. Bane I'm not getting. Both guys do gain from having no Suggs and no Franz Wagner. Wendell Carter coming up more. It's really the guys that are cheap. Black at 5,900. Wendell Carter at 5,300. Tristan Da Silva is also a Q tag, but I'm getting him at 12%, and the field's at 19. If you get Da Silva out, something might open up here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what would. Jet Howard probably getting more minutes. Feels like they wanted to play him more based on the NBA Cup. Noah Penda is the one I really want to see play more because I think he actually can be a good fantasy guy at some point. But at this point with Da Silva in, it's really Black and Wendell Carter. And then you can make the case for other guys if you want to. Denver, Nikola Jokic with their 121.5 implied points. Jokic, your most live pivot to Luka on the slate. Jamal Murray, though, 8% ownership, fields at 9. I'm cool with that. Peyton Watson, a Q tag. If he's out, Cam Johnson, still expensive for how shittily he's played this year. Only 0.7 fantasy points per minute. But at a certain point, you take enough bodies out. I feel like Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr. probably get enough usage to be useful. But it really is just the Jokic Jamal Murray show. They're playing great. Play them. Anybody else here, if you get Watson out, think they're a little more open to that. But if Watson's in, I think he's still an okay play. Sacramento and Portland is our last game on the slate. So this is your FanDuel only / your DK late slate only one. No Levine, no Sabonis still. Nothing looks that great despite that. Sacramento here. Westbrook more than appropriately priced. Keegan Murray, maybe a little bit cheap, but not really. Dennis Schroeder, a little bit cheap if he plays. Portland on their side looks a lot better with no Drew Holiday. Obvious, Sharp, Jeremy Grant, Klingon would all be in play for me. But that's how that looks, guys. So let's go to Stokastic now. Whew, that was, hit the like button too, guys. We're gonna run some sims, but please show some love. It is a lot to go game by game on a slate of this size, but I make a promise here. I have a schedule of things I do every show, and this is what we do, guys. So hit that like button, subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. When my mouth is tired, I'm like your wife. My mouth is tired. It's done too much. I don't wish to do anymore, but I'm still going to keep doing it. Perhaps unlike your wife, I'm still going to keep doing it. You nutted, but I'm still sucking here. Last stage of the video. Why is my ceiling limited as a content creator? Check out Stokastic too. 15% off promo code SPLASH. You guys know the deal. Does support the show. Half the money you pay to them comes back to me. But really at this point, if you're not using sims, not using projections, especially in NBA DFS, you're fucking up. You're just not going to win the money you should. And that's what it is to gamble, using great tools, using great data. That's what any process should look like. And Stokastic will give you that process built in automatically. So check it out for yourself. Link down below, or use the promo code SPLASH over there. And last but not least, join the channel. $5 here to support the show. Get into the members only live chat. That's the case during these streams when we go live now. But also get into the Discord for $5. Does support the show here. And again, if you join the channel here, I'll answer whatever questions you have. We'll do whatever we can do. It's been a lot easier these days without the free chat. So I think the members only live chat's going to continue on for at least a little bit longer here. But shout out to you guys that are members. I appreciate it a bunch. And thank you for the kind words, guys like Zach here. Spags is the GOAT. I appreciate that. And I did, and for what it's worth, for you guys out there, a lot of you guys resonated with my, if you hate Josh Engelman, watch these videos. And I love Josh, one of my best friends in the industry, legitimately. But if you hate Josh Engelman, keep watching this video. You guys did, between us, you guys did watch this video more than the strategy show yesterday. So that's, if you hate Josh, keep watching this video. And I'll tell him to his face on whenever we do a stream next, and he'll be really mad to find out that I'm getting more views than him. I'll tell you what, because he's competitive. We all are. We like to fight. Jalen Brunson, your top ROI player. Keep in mind the Stokastic data. Lowry marketed still in the data set. So all the Jazz stuff that we discussed ad nauseum earlier in the video, not reflected here. Jalen Brunson, Dylan Harper, Norm Powell, Danny Wolf, Day'Ron Sharp. So our cheap Nets coming in here. Steph Curry. Okay. Paolo Banchero. Okay. Jackson Hayes. So no Luka in this one. No Jokic. You're paying up for different guys. Number 2, Cade Cunningham, Dylan Harper, Jaime Jaquez, Tajon Salon is our value Hornet, Isaiah Jackson, our value Pacer, Anthony Black, Kobe Brown, our value Clipper, and Nikola Jokic to afford Cade and Jokic. So you know what? I think Joseph was asking about Luka and Jokic. Cade and Jokic pretty close, but you see what you have to get. You have to get Salon, Jackson, Kobe Brown. You're playing some real dog shit to be able to afford that. We got number 3, Luka Doncic, Dylan Harper, Michael Porter Jr., Tobias Harris, Khalil Ware, Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Wendell Carter. Filipowski making this lineup even though marketed's in the data set. That's interesting. So Filipowski's only going to look better with marketing out. This lineup, I think, would still be pretty interesting, even with the things moving around. Number 4, Dylan Harper again. Anthony Black makes this one again. Simone Fontecchio, Jalen Johnson, Khalil Ware, Luka Doncic, Danny Wolf, Daron Sharp. So you are getting 2 pay-up guys a lot here. You're not getting the full, like, Luka and Jokic. You're getting Luka and Jalen Johnson. You're getting Luka and, I guess this one doesn't really have the pay-up. It'd be Luka and Porter Jr. in this one. But Cade and Jokic, Brunson, Banchero, and Curry, 3 pay-ups in that one. Number 5, you have Luka Doncic, Norm Powell, Devin Vassell, Jalen Johnson, Daron Sharp, Isaiah Collier, Danny Wolf, and Jackson Hayes. So again, a lot of value to be able to afford Luka and Jalen Johnson together, but that combo came up twice in the top 5. Thank you, Isaac. Spags to go for sure. I'm sure Mrs. Spags loves the humor. We have very similar humors. That's why it works. She's the only person in the world who's meaner to me than you guys. No, like that's what got us together here. During the pandemic, we were dating before that, but we basically we locked down together, and she brought me joy more than anybody else I could imagine in that situation. So that's what love is, right, guys? That's all. Top ROI players. Again, without the Jazz stuff, this will move, but keep it in mind that still many of the guys will hold up as top options. Kobe Brown, $3,500 salary, 11% ROI. I mean, it's a blowout spot. He'll play some rotational minutes and then probably play a lot more if the Clippers get smoked. Danny Wolf at number 2, a 10% ROI. Tejan Salon at number 3, a 5% ROI. So really, these 3 guys, if I had to guess, just value options coming up because they're not going to be played a terribly high amount by the field, but playing them allows you to afford the spike week guys. That's more of a football thing. The spike guys around him in NBA that you need. Like, you got to be able to afford the guys that are going to put up the 50, 60, 70-point days. Kobe Brown, Danny Wolf, Tejan Salon seemingly allow that according to Stokastic data. Filipowski at number 4. It's only going to look better now that we have Marketing out. Daron Sharp at number 5. Isaiah Jackson right behind him. Kawhi, not that far behind. Top exposed players, 69% exposure, a very nice number for Luka Doncic. Fields at 51. Big stand in favor of Luka Doncic. Dylan Harper, 58% exposure. Fields at 34. So, look, bench Dylan Harper going against the Wizards. Hard to argue that. Wizards really, total-wise, seem inclined to get blown out today. Jackson Hayes, 54% exposure. Fields at 50. He looks like good value, but not every lineup kind of value in the Stokastic sim. Danny Wolf, 49%. Fields at 11. It's a lot of Danny Wolf. He does contribute across every category, and those guys play well and pace up spots, like Brooklyn is today versus Miami. But that's a lot of Danny Wolf. I got to think that'll come down a little bit. And Daron Sharp, same thing here. 14% exposure for the field. They're giving you 36. Big stands in favor of the Brooklyn big men. And Anthony Black, 33% exposure. Technically positive leverage. Your highest positive leverage plays Danny Wolf, 37% more in the field. Dylan Harper, 25% more in the field. Daron Sharp, 22% more in the field. Isaiah Jackson, 18% more in the field. He's in a quarter of Stokastic's top 150 lineups. Isaiah Jackson, really, because you just need the savings, I guess. Luka Doncic, 17% positive leverage here. Norm Powell, not too far behind. Love my girlfriend, but nothing brings me more joy than minimum price dudes. I get it. I mean, that's why the favorite time of year here, both for me and NBA DFS, and certainly on the Splash Play channel, March and April. That's when I think my data cooks the most, is like turning small sample size guys into the bigger sample size opportunity they get. So stay tuned, Parker. I think this is your first year running full time with you. Parker, though, already one of my prized pupils. So glad to see all success. And shouts to Isaac here. Happy Hanukkah. Appreciate how you're unapologetically yourself. Thanks for the calm of entertainment and very useful content. Most creators can't even provide one of those two. Thank you. That's really kind of you, Isaac. Thanks for the super chat and your support, and happy Hanukkah to you too. And, and I did come out in favor, or not in favor. I came out against Puka Nakua's celebration that's being rumored today on the strategy show bravely today. So thank you for that. I support our Hanukkah celebrating friends. I support our Christmas friends. I support our Kwanzaa friends, our Festivus friends, a little bacon adjacent, a little corny, a little too memey, but you can celebrate Seinfeld holidays if you want. But I appreciate it, Isaac. Thank you for the kind words. Should have turned that into shtick. Somebody says something nice, and I have to immediately deflect with saying dumb shit. Negative leverage plays. Tobias Harris, 10% less in the field. Only 7% exposure. Fields at 17. Tristan Da Silva, Q tag on him, but right now he's getting played 9% of Stokastic's top 150. Fields at 17. That's a negative 8% leverage. Anthony Davis, he's probably not going to play, but he was getting faded by Stokastic anyway. Negative 7% leverage. Bogdan Bogdanovic, negative 6% leverage. And LeBron, big fade on Braun here. Negative 6% leverage for him. Really do think that price tag is brutal. But if you are a LeBron stan, if you are somebody that believes in the powers of a 40-year-old, I think he turns 41 actually this month, 41-year-old doing it one more time against an absolutely awful team, You would get so much leverage playing LeBron today. Like, Luka's going to make every lineup. I get it. I think it makes sense. I agree that he should be in at least half your lineups. But like, if LeBron just throws it back one time here after getting the most rest he's gotten in a while, that's like no ownership on LeBron. Let's do a hand build real fast, guys. We made decent time here for an 11-game slate. I am shocked because you guys know I can go long. Yeah. but you know, like, we made okay time here. All right, point guard. Let's see what we can do here. And again, this is with Marketing still not in the data set, or in the data set rather, not updated to be out of the data set. So we can't just load up on Jazz guys here, or else the sim will grade it out poorly. But I'm going to put Filipowski in because he's one of those plays the sim already likes. And we know that he's going to be a lot better when things update for no Marketing. So he'll be my power forward and my first guy in. Point guard, I do think, based on what we know of the sim and in general, I think Luka should be our point guard pick. And let's just spare no time doing that right now. Again, I think you can build credible LeBron-focused lineups. But for this one, I think we're just going to build straight away, put the chalk in with Luka. Shout out Parker for the super chat. This is really members only chat coming in clutch right now. Shout out Parker. I appreciate you using the Splash Play avatar. If you guys ever do want to use the Splash Play logos on your DFS stuff, just take the YouTube logo, I guess, for the basketball one, and for the NFL one, go on the NFL, go on my Twitter handle, grab that one if you want. But that's, you know, if you want to use the Splash Play avatar, no pressure, you get nothing for it. But I use it, so, and Parker does. So that's two of us. So if you want to do it, feel free. I appreciate it when I see it. Shooting guard here, Anthony Black, easy pick for me. Again, Black and Filipowski, cash game, large field tournament lineups. These are the guys you want to be having as your core plays, even if you fade them in some amount. You know, so Filipowski, Black, easy clicks for me. Small forward for me, I think, would be Michael Porter Jr. based on the pure raw projection of it. Ace Bailey is a guy who will look better when Stokastic updates for no Marketing. Brandon Miller's kind of expensive to put in this lineup, but so is Porter Jr. Man, small forward is brutal. I'm going to go Porter Jr. here because my data does like him a lot. That said, this lineup is getting a little bit expensive. We're going to go center Jackson Hayes. We know that's a value that I can get behind. The sim is also not going to totally poo-poo. 4,800 left for our last three spots. Who's a cheap guard? Let me sort by value here, because we desperately need anything that's a good value at this point. Okay. Keontae George, can't afford him. Collier, we could afford. I'm going to save money on Collier. Need another forward. 5,300 left for these last two spots. Against the Utah guys that look the best for me. Fontecchio, though, I think in the sim will play a little bit better. I'm going to put Fontecchio in at forward. 6,400 left for our last spot. Wiggins, Sadiq Bey, Jabari. This is an awful spot. I'll go Wiggins. Actually, no. Is there anybody else on utility? No. I guess Wiggins. So final team here. Again, I tried to ride the line between a lineup that will look okay when we get updates for the Jazz, but still grade out okay enough in the sim now. We got Luka Doncic, Anthony Black, Michael Porter Jr., Kyle Filipowski, Jackson Hayes, Isaiah Collier, Simone Fontecchio, Andrew Wiggins, 27% ROI, 0.1% win rate. We will take it. Do think, though, if we were properly reflecting Marketing being out, putting Ace Bailey in, putting Sensabaugh in would probably look good enough to make the lineup. Keontae George, probably more of a priority projection-wise. But there's a lot that's going to move around, guys. Again, we're doing this video. I try to do the best I can to prepare you for all the different outcomes, but it's 2:57 p.m. on the East Coast. So, like, Anthony Davis, I expect to be out. Other guys are going to get ruled out just the way it goes. So prepare accordingly. Hopefully I gave you guys enough of a leg up, but I also will give you guys my splash plays for the day. Before I do that, one last ask, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. I know I've asked a bunch here, but we got new viewers tuning in throughout the live video. A lot of people that watch after the fact as well and skip around. Of course, always make sure to check the timestamps after the live airing too, because I do put them in the second the stream ends. But appreciate your guys' support here. I'm here Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Today's an NFL slate, so I know the views will be a little bit lower, but on a day where, you're not playing NFL, come back here and I will be here for you guys doing the best work that I possibly can Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Check out Stokastic too. Promo code SPLASH gets you 15% off at Stokastic. Again, that's every package on there. It does support the show because half the money you pay to them comes back to me. And at this point, it's a new affiliate thing over there, so go sign up over there. Check it out if you have never signed up. Great time to do it. And in particular, you got a lot of NBA slates coming up and NFL coming up over the next few weeks, so make it count. And last but not least, join the channel here. $5 to join as a supporter, like so many of the great guys in the chat today. But also, if you want to support the show in a meaningful way while getting my data, join one of the Squirt Squad tiers. Just know how to use the CSV if you pay for the VIP one, because that is the get-in point. Just knowing how to put that data where you need it to go. But my data does get updated throughout the night. I use the same data for myself whenever I'm building lineups, so keep that in mind. Splash plays for the day. Let's not go with the Luka's one, but he's super chalk. He'll be a guy that I build around though. Jackson Hayes value, again, if you're looking for the ones that I think will be core plays that you just can kind of put around. Hayes, Filipowski, with Markkanen out especially. Anthony Black, that's just kind of, I think, your three guys you put in right away to see what you can do around that and hopefully have enough ceiling around it. I think Ace Bailey, a guy I usually don't like, is going to be more in play today. Don't know that I want to call him a splash play, but I definitely will be above the field on him. Besides that, just looking through my ranks one more time. Dylan Harper, I think also a splash play right now. Fontecchio, pretty close. But yeah, I think that's enough to get you guys going. But stay tuned for injury stuff. Keep your eyes peeled. I'll, of course, update as soon as things come through the system, and I can give you guys good projection updates. There's a lot that's going to happen today in the NBA. Prepare accordingly. If you want to learn more about the NFL as well, check out my videos. Did this morning's strategy show on Stokastic with my good friend Laffy over there. Check that out. My Splash Play Pod channel also has the NFL video I did this morning at 12 p.m., so check that out too. Definitely a defense forward slate there, but I think I hopefully unveiled some things that could be useful if you're playing that showdown. Gamble responsibly, guys, especially on these crossover NFL NBA days. Be responsible with your bankroll, even though it is always money time here on the Splash Play channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets on YouTube, at Splash Play Pod on Twitter. We'll also get you all my NFL and NBA content. And thanks to you guys for the super chats, for all the kind words. Again, guys, both in the regular comments after the video and the live chat. It's been really nice for me to kind of focus in on the work, not deal with some of the crazies out there when the chat is open to everybody. But I do appreciate all you guys who watch the video and show some love. And see you guys again soon. Be back tomorrow for another round. So enjoy your days. Good luck. And let's pray for some sanity on this NBA slate. All right. Bye, guys.